to Earth weren't here to conquer, but to understand something as simple and strange as rain. Imagine beings so delicate, even gravity frightens them, yet they risk everything to step foot on our wild, unpredictable world. What happens when their curiosity collides with Earth's raw beauty and danger? Stick around, because this story is not just about first contact. It's about survival, fear, and a powerful discovery that will change everything. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and show a thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move toward this wonderful story that starts with rain and ends with revelation. The observation deck of the Veritas Ascend had never looked so strange. Normally filled with soft lighting and quiet chatter, it had been transformed into a shimmering chamber of soft mist and low gravity. The air carried a faint, flowery scent and shimmered with energy. Captain Mila Ross floated slightly above the floor, her polished boots barely touching the surface as she adjusted the stiff collar of her ceremonial uniform for the 10th time that hour. "They don't even wear clothes," she muttered to herself, pulling at the fabric. "And here we are wrapped up like holiday presents." Dr. Remy Dalen, the ship's exobiologist, stood nearby with a tablet in hand, watching the atmosphere monitor. "It's symbolic, Captain," he said without looking up. "Respect, formality, a gesture of seriousness." "A gesture of strangulation," Mila replied dryly. "I'd rather greet them in a bathrobe." "Better than a ceremonial sword," Lieutenant Bryn Kepler chimed in, drifting over from the communications panel. "I heard they find sharp objects horrifying. Good thing we left the kitchen knives in storage." The crew shared a quiet laugh, though their tension was obvious. For months humanity had waited for this moment. An official meeting with the Terrini, a sentient, non-humanoid species that communicated through pulses of light and sound, with bodies more like floating gases than solid beings. It had taken years to arrange this peaceful encounter, and now the aliens were just moments away from docking. The air shimmered slightly as the ship's AI spoke, its voice calm and precise. "Terrini vessel has arrived, requesting docking clearance." Mila took a deep breath and nodded. "Grant clearance. Begin docking sequence." The deck lights dimmed slightly as the ship's systems realigned, preparing for the arrival. A gentle hum filled the air as the two vessels aligned. There was no loud mechanical clunk, no dramatic shudder, just a soft vibration that signaled their guests had arrived. Mila straightened her uniform again and turned to face the airlock. The crew stood behind her in formation. Each person checked and rechecked. Bryn whispered, "Anyone else nervous?" Dr. Remy answered without hesitation, "About 97%. The airlock hissed open. What floated through was unlike anything Mila had imagined. Where she had expected something jellyfish-like or translucent, the Terrini were radiant spheres, each about the size of a large beach ball. Their surfaces rippled like water in sunlight, constantly shifting with brilliant colors: purples, blues, greens, and golds. There were no visible eyes or mouths, yet Mila felt watched, studied. The lead orb pulsed with soft blue light as a rich musical voice filled the room. "Greetings, explorers of Earth. I am Naroon, emissary of the Terrini Harmonic Assembly. We come in peace and wonder." Mila stepped forward carefully, her hands open at her sides in the universal sign of non-hostility. "Welcome, Emissary Naroon. I am Captain Mila Ross of the Veritas Ascend. On behalf of Earth and the United Planetary Accord, I greet you and your companions." Another pulse of blue. According to the briefing, that meant approval. "Your preparations are unexpectedly pleasant," Naroon said. "We were told human environments would be extremely dangerous. We've modified this area to match your needs," Mila explained, choosing her words carefully. "Low gravity, altered air composition. The rest of our ship would be less comfortable. We appreciate the effort." "It shows kindness," Naroon replied. Another orb floated forward, this one glowing slightly pink. "I am Pelin, liaison of scientific exchange. Your planet fascinates us. A world of solids, pressure, life forms with bones. Bones. We cannot imagine." "Lieutenant," Bryn raised an eyebrow. Wait until you see Earth's coffee. Captain Mila cut in quickly. We're honored by your curiosity. I hope this visit proves enlightening for all of us. Dr. Remy stepped forward, unable to hide his excitement. If I may ask, what are you most interested in seeing? The orbs shifted slightly, their surfaces flickering as they conversed in silent pulses for a few seconds. Oceans, said Naroon. So much water in one place, it is intimidating, beautiful, impossible. And the phenomenon you call rain, Pelin added. Liquid falling from the sky. Is it painful? Mila nearly laughed, but caught herself. No, it's gentle. Sometimes a bit cold, it depends, but it's a normal part of life for us. We would like to experience it, Naroon said. Not simulations, the real thing. That gave Mila pause. You're requesting to visit Earth's surface? Yes, we have containment fields to preserve our environment. We believe it is possible. Dr. Remy's eyes widened. That's a bold request. It is in our nature, Naroon said. To understand, we must witness. To witness, we must be present. Captain Mila glanced at her crew. Bryn looked worried. Remy looked fascinated. Mila felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like a cloak. This was bigger than a simple tour. It was history. Let's begin with a virtual walkthrough, she offered. A safe introduction. Then we'll see what's possible. Naroon's light pulsed with warmth. Agreed. Thank you, Captain Ross. As the delegation drifted after her toward the holographic chamber, Mila felt her nerves tighten. First contact was always delicate. One wrong move could spark disaster. But maybe, just maybe, this mission could be more than peaceful. Maybe it could be the beginning of something extraordinary. The lights dimmed as the holographic simulation room activated, filling the chamber with a lifelike projection of Earth's most stunning landscapes. Mountains stretched into misty skies, oceans sparkled in simulated sunlight, and dense forests swayed in a fabricated breeze. It wasn't real, but it looked close enough to make even the human crew pause in awe. The Terrenii delegation floated into the center of the room, their shimmering orbs glowing softly as they took in the sights around them. Their surfaces rippled with complex light patterns, what Dr. Remy Dalen believed indicated intense curiosity. This is your world? Asked Pelin, the scientific liaison. His voice was filled with wonder and a slight nervous vibration that translated oddly through their sound field. It is overwhelming. It's just a simulation, Captain Mila Ross said gently. But yes, these are real places on Earth. The Terrenii drifted closer to the holographic waterfall that cascaded down a cliffside. Droplets splashed in a never-ending loop of projected movement. One of the orbs shivered. It falls, continuously. Does it not damage the terrain? It erodes slowly over time, Remy explained. But rain and water are part of what shaped our world and us. Life needs water to survive here, life that forms in response to falling matter. Naroon murmured. A strange concept. Mila was used to seeing her world through the lens of science or duty. Seeing it now through the Terreni's reaction gave her a fresh perspective. Everything was dangerous to them. Gravity, water, sound. Things she barely noticed were terrifying or astonishing to these visitors. Remy activated the next simulation. A savanna appeared, golden and windswept. Grasses moved in waves beneath the sun. In the distance, a group of lions lounged beneath a tree, blinking lazily in the heat. These are called lions, Remy said, clearly proud of the detail in the projection. They're one of our planet's top predators. Beautiful animals. The reaction was instant. The Terrenii recoiled in unison, their surfaces flashing with alarm. It has multiple pointed extensions, one of them cried, and sharp inner structures. Their teeth, Mila offered, trying to calm them. Just for eating. We all have them. You have them too? Pelin's voice was tinged with panic. Internal support spikes and chewing blades? Remy cringed slightly. Well, bones and teeth, yes. All vertebrates have them. But they're harmless unless used for attack, which they usually aren't. Narun floated backward slightly, his glow dimming. You live surrounded by such dangers. Your biology itself is dangerous. There was a long pause. The crew exchanged glances. Mila could feel the tension stretching thin. We're not dangerous to you, she said firmly. We prepared for this meeting very carefully. You're safe here. Pellin's orb drifted low, nearly brushing the simulated grass. Your safety measures are appreciated, but your world, it is built on risks. Remy hesitated, then smiled softly. That's true. Earth is full of danger. But it's also full of life, beauty, and connection. We've survived and grown by learning to adapt and to help each other. Narun's orb rotated slowly, absorbing the information. Is that why you cooperate? Because you must? Or because you choose to? Mila folded her arms. Both. Life on Earth requires strength and support. No one makes it alone for long. The Terrini rippled with silent thought for a few seconds. Then Pellin asked quietly, would it be possible to see one of these environments? Not a projection, but the real thing? The crew froze. Mila blinked. You want to go down to Earth? Yes, Narun said. We have containment fields. They can maintain our atmospheric needs and resist minor physical impact. We believe it is feasible. Remy looked worried. Earth's conditions could still be extremely uncomfortable for you. We are aware, Narun replied, but we wish to experience your world firsthand. We have studied it for so long. We want to feel it, even if only a little. Mila felt the weight of their request settle on her. There were risks. A lot could go wrong, but this was why they had come. Both species. To understand each other. To share something real. I'll need to consult with Command, she said slowly. And we'll have to prepare safety protocols. Carefully. Very carefully. Of course, Narun replied. But please consider it. Our curiosity is sincere. Mila gave a small nod. I believe you. As the simulation powered down and the room faded back to neutral lighting, Mila stayed quiet for a moment. She watched the Terrini float out, their glowing forms subdued but still pulsing with hope. Bryn waited until they were gone before whispering, they want to take a stroll on a planet that terrifies them. They want to understand us. Remy added, that's more than brave, that's something we should respect. Mila nodded, thoughtful. Let's get to work. If they're willing to take the risk, we're going to make sure it's worth it. The rainforest spread out below them like an endless green ocean, alive with movement, sound, and color. From the shuttle's viewport, Captain Mila Ross could see the dense canopy stretching beyond the horizon, the treetops swaying gently in the warm breeze. Shafts of sunlight pierced the thick clouds, casting golden streaks across the forest. To the eye, human eye, it was breathtaking. To the Terrini, it was something else entirely. Inside the shuttle cabin, the alien delegation hovered quietly within their protective orbs. Their glowing surfaces shimmered with swirling light patterns that Mila had come to recognize as a mix of excitement and anxiety. The air was thick and humid even inside the controlled environment of the shuttle. It would be far worse outside. Still, the Terrini had insisted on coming. They wanted to experience Earth for themselves, to see the world that shaped such unusual creatures as humans. Ambassador Narun floated toward the front of the shuttle. It is enormous, he said, his voice soft but clear. And very solid. Mila smiled. It's one of our oldest rainforests. Life here has been evolving. For millions of years it's beautiful, but it doesn't take it easy on anyone. We do not expect ease, Narun replied. Only honesty. The shuttle touched down in a small clearing surrounded by towering trees and thick underbrush. Mila activated the environmental shields, ensuring no curious wildlife could wander into their landing zone. The shuttle's systems ran a final scan for danger, no immediate threats. It was time. Everyone, final safety checks, Mila called. Containment fields at full power? One by one, the Terrini confirmed their protective bubbles were stable. Each orb emitted a soft hum, maintaining their specific atmospheric mix and shielding them from the crushing pressure of Earth's gravity. The shuttle doors opened with a quiet hiss, releasing a wave of hot, damp air into the cabin. Even through the filters, the smell of rich earth and growing things was strong. Mila stepped out first, the familiar weight of gravity pulling at her limbs. She looked back at the crew and the alien visitors. "Welcome to Earth," she said. DQ, Terrini floated out slowly, adjusting to the shift in movement and temperature. They drifted just above the ground, their orbs gleaming with reflections from the green world around them. Dr. Remy Dalen activated a trail of soft holographic lights to guide the group safely along a pre-cleared path. The forest was alive with sound, chirping insects, bird calls, and the distant rustle of leaves. Pauline, the science liaison, floated closer to a tree trunk, observing its rough texture. "These growths, they compete for sunlight?" "In a way," Remy answered. "Some climb over others, some grow taller, and some live in the shade. It's all part of the system." "And the sounds?" asked another delegate. "They're constant." Mila smiled. "It's never quiet here. Everything is communicating, fighting, or surviving. Sometimes all three." The group moved deeper, into the forest. Vines hung from branches like living ropes and thick roots twisted across the ground. The Terrini bumped gently into leaves and branches, each new contact causing them to ripple in surprise. Despite the discomfort, their curiosity never faded. Then the sky darkened. Mila looked up as thick clouds gathered quickly overhead. She tapped, her wrist monitor. "Storm approaching," she said. "We should prepare for rain." "This is acceptable," Narun replied. "It is part of what we came to witness." The first raindrops fell gently, tapping against the shuttle's outer hull in the leaves above. Then, as it often happened in the rainforest, the light sprinkle turned into a sudden downpour. Water poured from the sky in thick sheets, bouncing off leaves, pooling on the forest floor, and drumming against everything in sight. The Terrini hovered in place, silent for a moment as the rain splashed across their containment fields. Their glowing orbs refracted the falling water, creating shimmering light patterns. Palin drifted higher, turning slowly in the air. "It is beautiful," he said in awe, "to feel matter falling from the sky. So much, so fast." Remy nodded, wiping water from his face. "That's rain. It feeds the forest, cools the air, and reminds us we're not in control." Suddenly, a sharp, collective noise filled the air. The Terrini began pulsing erratically. Their bodies rippled with flashes of red and white light. Alarm. Mila turned quickly, scanning the area. Then she saw it. A large snake, draped lazily over a thick tree branch, stared down at them with unblinking eyes. "Don't panic," Mila said quickly, raising her hand. "It's a native species, a constrictor, not venomous. It won't attack unless provoked." The Terrini, however, were already in disarray. One orb darted upward, colliding with a branch and ricocheting into another delegate. The chain reaction was instant, spheres bouncing, containment fields buzzing, and lights flashing wildly. Narun, in his panic, drifted dangerously close to the tree with the snake. "Ambassador!" Mila shouted, rushing forward. The snake, disturbed by the commotion, shifted its weight, which caused the branch to shake. That was all it took. Narun's orb began to flicker violently. High-pitched sounds escaped from within, and the surface of his orb expanded and contracted rapidly. "Pressure instability," Remy yelled. "He's going into shock." Without thinking, Mila lunged forward and grabbed the orb. It was heavier than she expected. Her boots sank into the muddy ground as she pulled it back from the tree. Rain poured over her shoulders, her uniform soaked, her breath short. But she didn't stop until she had moved the ambassador safely away from the branch. "Get him back. To the shuttle," she ordered. Two crew members rushed over, taking the orb carefully from her hands. The group moved fast, the forest now chaotic with rain, movement, and alarm. Mila stayed behind a moment longer, watching the snake slither back into the shadows. Then she followed the others, heart pounding. As they boarded the shuttle and sealed the hatch, Mila looked at Naroon's containment field. The ambassador's lights flickered erratically, and he seemed barely stable. Rain tapped softly on the shuttle roof. Mila felt the weight of the moment press heavily on her chest. This was supposed to be a peaceful mission. But Earth had reminded everyone once again that peace on a wild world was never guaranteed. 3 days passed in heavy silence aboard the Veritas Ascend. Captain Mila Ross sat alone in her ready room, staring at the unfinished incident report glowing dimly on her datapad. The words came and went, rewritten and deleted over and over, again. Nothing seemed right. Nothing seemed enough. She had replayed the rainforest mission in her mind 100 times. How the Tarini had reacted to the snake, how the ambassador had nearly suffered a fatal reaction, and how it all ended. In a panicked retreat beneath storm-soaked trees. It had been the opposite of everything she'd hoped for. Instead of building trust, it felt like she had delivered proof that Earth was a terrifying place, exactly as the Tarini had feared. She hadn't heard a word from their vessel since they had returned the ambassador. Just a single message acknowledging safe arrival, and then silence. Mila had started to believe that the diplomatic mission was over. Worse, that it had failed. Humanity's first real contact with a non-humanoid species, and the result might be a quiet farewell, or worse, a permanent distancing. The soft chime of the door broke her thoughts. She looked up. Enter. Lieutenant Bryn Kepler stepped in, holding a small communicator. Captain, the Tarini vessel is hailing us. Ambassador Naroon wishes to speak with you directly. Mila stood quickly, her heart beating faster. Put it through here. Bryn gave a quick nod and tapped the control panel. A moment later, the wall screen lit up with the familiar shifting glow of Naroon's orb. To Mila's relief, the ambassador's surface pulsed with calm, steady colors. Healthy, balanced. Ambassador Naroon, Mila greeted, trying to hide her nervousness. It's good to see you. I hope you're recovering well. I have recovered, Captain Ross, Naroon said with a steady tone. And I wish to thank you, personally. Mila blinked. Thank me? Indeed, the ambassador replied. Your actions in the rainforest ensured my safety. Despite the confusion, the threat, and the unfamiliar terrain, you chose to act with urgency and compassion. You placed yourself at risk for me. That is not something the Tarini take lightly. I only did what any of my crew would have done, Mila replied. That is what makes it so remarkable, Naroon said, his voice warm and curious. Not that you acted, but that you all would have. That your instinct, even under stress, was to protect a being entirely unlike yourself. Mila let the words settle in the air between them. She hadn't expected gratitude. She had expected blame. We were afraid of humans, Naroon continued. Your world is dangerous. Your biology is strange. Your culture is built around survival in a place that most life could not endure. We thought those things would make you aggressive, even cruel. But we were wrong. Mila sat down slowly, watching the ambassador. We're far from perfect, she said. We've made mistakes, hurt each other, even destroyed parts of our own world. But we've also learned how to help, to adapt, and to care. Maybe that's what survival on Earth taught us more than anything else. Exactly, Naroon replied. Your world is constantly changing, constantly challenging you, and yet you've grown from it. You've built systems to protect your weak, to learn from failure, and to reach beyond your own species. There was a long pause as the ambassador's colors softened into a peaceful glow. I now see that humans are not shaped by fear, he said. You are shaped by connection. That is what makes your kind extraordinary. And it is something the Tarini will not forget. Mila felt a quiet relief settle over her shoulders. The weight she had carried since the mission was still there, but now lighter, more manageable. Thank you, Ambassador, she said. That means a great deal to us. There is one more thing, Naroon added. I would like to formally propose a continued exchange between our people. Not just scientific, but cultural. We want to learn more. And we want you to learn about us too. Mila smiled. I believe we'd like that very much. As the call ended and the screen faded to black, she sat in silence for a moment, letting it all sink in. A mission that nearly ended in disaster had somehow become a bridge. The Terrani, despite everything, wanted to move forward. And maybe, just maybe, that was what diplomacy was all about. Not perfect moments, but surviving imperfect ones together. Later that evening, the crew gathered in the observation deck. The simulated gravity had been restored, and Earth's lights twinkled softly through the viewport. Outside, stars drifted silently past as the Veritas Ascend orbited the blue planet below. Lieutenant Bryn held a cup of tea and gave Mila a sideways glance. So, we didn't cause a galactic incident after all? Mila chuckled. Not yet, but let's not test our luck. Dr. Remy Dalen joined them, watching Earth turn slowly beneath them. Funny thing, he said. They came to learn about rain, but I think what really moved them was how we stood in the storm. Mila nodded. Maybe that's what it takes to understand someone, not watching them from safety, but walking with them through the storm. As the crew stood quietly, watching their world from above, the message was clear. Connection didn't always come easily, but when it did, it was as beautiful and as powerful as the rain.